Hello students. So as we have completed one chapter, today we'll be moving on to the chapter 8, that is electrostatics. So all of you might be thinking why directly we are moving on to chapter 8. So the basic reason behind this is that the basics of electrostatics we have studied in your 11th standard. So during this lockdown period when I cannot teach you face to face, and that in such a time, I would like to just take the chapters for the basic for which you have a strong base. So as you have learned the basics of electrostatics, we can just move on to a next level, that is the chapter 8 electrostatics. So first of all, you should just revise your 11th standard electrostatics chapter. What is electrostatics, what is Gauss law, and all the related things to electrostatics. So basically electrostatics means that study of stationary charges and the various phenomena related to it. So static means stationary, so study of stationary charges. Now the most important thing in this chapter first of all is your Gauss law. So according to Gauss law, if you have a closed surface and the charge enclosed in that closed surface is suppose Q, then the integral of that closed surface gives you the flux. So you can write Gauss law in the form of this equation. So the flux phi is equal to Q upon epsilon naught, where Q is the charge enclosed and epsilon naught is the permittivity, which is the integral. Now this sign means that it is a closed surface. So integral of E dot ds, that is electric field intensity into the area. So basically this is the Gauss law. Now as you have learned the Gauss law in your previous year also, so there are some applications of the Gauss law which will make your concept more clear. So today we'll be learning the first application. So the first application is the electric field intensity due to uniformly charged spherical shell or hollow sphere. So for this application, first you have to consider a hollow sphere of radius capital R. Now in this, suppose there is a charge density, you can say the surface charge density sigma is equal to the charge upon the area, the surface area. So you have the surface charge density sigma is equal to Q by A. Now from this, the surface area of a sphere is basically 4 pi r square. So you can write this as Q by 4 pi r square. So from this you can write that the charge is equal to sigma into 4 pi r square. So this is your total charge on the sphere, that is sigma into 4 pi r square. Now consider a point P. Suppose this is a point P at some point outside the spherical shell at a distance small r. Now suppose this is the distance small r. Now you have to find electric field intensity at this point. Now whenever you have to apply Gauss law, that point should be enclosed inside a Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface is basically an imaginary surface. So here this point P is outside the sphere, so you will consider a Gaussian surface. Now that this dotted line, this shows you the Gaussian spherical surface. Now the Gaussian surface should be such that the radius of that sphere will be small r and point P should lie here on the surface. Now you can consider a small area ds around point P. Now the small area ds, the direction is towards right and the electric field intensity at this point is also directed outwards. So the angle between the electric field intensity and ds is 0. Keep this in mind. Now moving on to the next point. Now as angle between E and ds is equal to 0, cos of 0 is 1. So this is one thing which you should remember. So if you take the dot product E dot ds, which is given as E ds cos theta, now cos 0 is equal to 1, so you will write it as E into ds. Now according to Gauss law, the flux is the closed integral of E dot ds. Now you can just derive the formula for that flux. So flux is closed integral of ds, E dot ds. Now as E is constant, the electric field intensity, now as there is a symmetry in that spherical shell, the E at every point on that shell Gaussian surface has same magnitude and it is directed outwards. So E will be constant and you have to integrate ds. So integrating ds will give you the surface area of that sphere. Now the surface area of the sphere is 4 pi r square. Here we are taking small r because we are considering the Gaussian sphere which we have drawn, which passes through point P having a radius small r. So this is E 4 pi r square. Now according to your Gauss law, the flux is Q by epsilon naught, where Q is a charge. So rearranging this equation, you can write the formula for electric field intensities, which is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q by r square. Now this Q, as we have seen earlier, can be written as sigma 4 pi r square. Here it is capital R, the radius of the original sphere which we have considered. So substituting this formula of Q in this equation, you will get this term, sigma 4 pi r square. So cancelling the terms 4 pi and 4 pi, the remaining will be 6 r square upon epsilon naught small r square. So this gives you the electric field intensity at a point P outside a sphere. Now we can consider two cases. In case 1, if this point P lies on the surface of the sphere, suppose if this point P, if it lies on the surface of the sphere, then this length r, small r, will be equal to capital R. So in that case, small r is equal to capital R, and the electric field intensity, if you substitute small r is equal to capital R, then the electric field intensity will come out to be sigma by epsilon naught. Now, if the point P lies inside the sphere, now in previous year you have learned that inside a conductor, then charges are 0. So inside the sphere there are no charges, that is Q is equal to 0. Therefore, sigma will also be equal to 0. Now, if sigma is equal to 0, then the electric field intensity is also equal to 0. So basically, this is the first application of Gauss law, that is electric field intensity due to a charged sphere. So now the second application is electric field intensity due to infinitely long straight charged wire. So in this case, you have to consider a uniformly charged wire of having infinite length, and then suppose the linear charge density is lambda. Now what is linear charge density? It is actually charge per unit length, and permittivity as usual epsilon. Now suppose this is your infinitely charged wire. If you consider a magnified image of that, consider a point P outside that uniformly charged wire. Suppose the distance of the point P from the center is small r. Now as you have to apply Gauss law in this case also, consider a Gaussian surface, cylindrical surface passing through this point P. So this cylinder is actually a Gaussian cylindrical surface which is passing through point P having the length L and the radius r. Now to find the electric field intensity at this point P, consider an area around this point ds. In this case also, theta will be equal to 0 because ds and E are in same direction. Now as you have considered a small point P and theta is equal to 0, so similarly you will get here E dot ds is equal to E ds. Now applying the Gauss law here also, so first you will consider the small area ds. In that case, the flux is d phi, which is equal to E ds. Now if you want to find the flux passing through the whole cylindrical part, then you have to integrate this. So integrating E ds, you have to take out E constant and integrate just ds. Now here the ds is surface area of that cylinder, that is 2 pi r L. Now from Gauss law you can write the flux as Q by epsilon naught. So Q by epsilon naught is E 2 pi r L. Now you have considered the linear charge density is equal to Q by L. So Q is lambda into L. Now substituting lambda L here and rearranging the equation, you get E is equal to lambda 2 pi epsilon naught r. So this gives you the electric field intensity due to an infinitely charged wire. Now in this case, you can consider if the direction of electric field intensity is outwards, then lambda is positive, and the direction of electric field intensity is inwards, then lambda is negative. So these can be asked as an MCQ question in your exams. So you should keep these small points in mind. So in this lecture we have seen the two applications of Gauss law. The next lecture we'll be seeing other applications.